What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, we're taking a look at the team that smashed me right into the veteran ranking in Go Battle League here in this current season of the Adventures Abound. We've got Guzzlord with Azumarill and Tapu Fini on this team. A very hard meta read, and it paid off. The team's so good with everybody running Lanturn and Grass right now. Yo, catch that Guzzlord getting some grass types. It's just going to destroy some people. So let's take a look at this team suggested by one of my Patreon subscribers. And this team has been sitting around on the server gaining everybody a bunch of elo for the last few days. So here's the release. Here's the team. Here's the veteran run. Let's get into this. First battle, we've got a Charjabug. This is actually not great as much as it looks because Xehr is super effective in Guzzlord. And here's the thing when you're running Guzzlord, folks. It has a really high HP stat, but a really low defense stat. So I shield at the Xehr here because I've actually found out how much damage does my opponent. Swaps in an Azumarill, one of the hardest counters. Honestly, any fairy is a hard counter to Guzzlord. So I have to come up with my Tapu Fini here because a shield down, I'm not winning switch against the Azumarill. At least with Tapu Fini, I have a fighting chance if I can land a Moonblast, which I'm going to overfarm significantly while counting this Azumarill's fast moves, and I'm going to go for the Moonblast, and of course it gets shielded. So at least I got a shield out of the matter, right? The thing is the Tapu Fini's water guns are much more oppressive than Azumarill's bubbles, so even though the damage I'm doing is resisted, this still takes a lot out of the Azumarill, and believe it or not, everybody, this is actually doable for Guzzlord now because the opponent is so low, a Crunch could KO at this point. Now, one thing I'm going to bring up here is this team came from the Patreon server, right? So I know that I've tried not to push it as much lately, but I'm going to be completely honest, y'all. Like, I got so much good stuff cooking in the Discord. We got a channel that's dedicated to getting everybody set for every season. Look at that. Crunch took out the Azumarill, no problem. And here comes a Charjabug, right? We got a channel in the Discord that basically says, here's the top things you should be building. Here's the top things you should be walking for XLs for any league in general. And then every single rotation, everything that you want to have built for it. So Swampert in the back. This is a good game. We're going to win because, dude, Guzzlord is an absolute god, okay? Yeah, it's RPS, but it's a god. Hit the Crunch, no debuff, unfortunately. My opponent has to throw an Earthquake to take out Guzzlord here. If they go for a Hydro Cannon, then that's them. But they go for the Earthquake, takes out the Guzzlord, and without a shield, the Azumarill can just get to the play rough here and take this game. So well played. And on another note, because it's something else that I have rotating down in my little ad feed down there, something I made myself. I'm very proud of it. I do offer coaching on Metafy, and I've had a few questions, especially over on my live streams on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. You know, had questions that I was like, man, I could really, I could tell you, but it's going to take me like an hour. Like, someone's asking me about how do we do team building? You know, how do we do move timing? You know, stuff like that. So this is a huge call, by the way. I had to basically bank that this person was throwing an Xehr, and they did. And then I'm like, okay, if they throw a discharge, this is a problem. Anyway, lots of questions that I'm like, you know, I can absolutely answer this in a real short, but not like super in-depth way. If you're looking to get some help, you know, you're looking to, you know, increase your own knowledge of this game, increase your own skill set, right? I got coaching on Metafy. I cover just about every base of this game and even a lot of the more advanced stuff. And I'm offering a 15% off discount to literally anybody who uses the coupon code. Watch, it's going to be the next little rotation. It's like XehrFelrose-YTube or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Next one. Sorry, after the live stream. But check it out. It's always better to get it done now because this coaching that you get early in the season is going to pay off much more now than it would if you wait till the end of the season. So anyway, I'm going to be done talking about that. I'm sure that many people have probably clicked off the video because they don't want to hear me talk about that. But anyway, rest of the battles, I promise, is analysis and stuff, okay? I promise. So Dugong into Azumarill. This isn't horrible, but for Dugong, it's much better because they have the Icy Wind. Drill Run does neutral damage. Play Rough is more expensive than the Drill Run is. So the reason also we're running Hydro Pump on Azumarill, right? Because we need steel coverage, okay? I cannot run Ice Beam on Azumarill because if I get slapped up with a Bastiodon or Registeel, specifically Registeel, okay? Registeel, I understand, it does clap this whole team, all right? Looking at it on a 1v3 basis, yes, Registeel beats everything on this team, and it's difficult. But not a lot of people are running Registeel right now, so I'm not worried about it. I think I've run into maybe 2 Registeel all week so far, and It's very rare because there's so many people running Gligar, Medi, and stuff. So it makes sense, right? So now we've got Guzzlord being a confirmed Dugong counter. Farming down. Venusaur comes in. That's fine. We've got enough HP on the Azumarill here in the back to just bubble down or get to the Play Rough. I probably could have bubbled down, but I was just playing it safe, going for the Play Rough. That's going to be a good game. Well played to this opponent. Yeah, Registeel is a team effort. It's difficult. Typically, if you hit a Registeel on the lead, you just immediately swap into Tapu Fini and you pray. You literally just pray. And hope that Azumarill in the back maybe sweeps. Now, there's two ways to play out the Deoxys lead. This is the first time I saw it, so I was trying out this whole crunch and dip strategy. The problem with that strategy, though, is that the opponent will just simply throw a Thunderbolt. Now, you can tank this if you want, but it hurts a lot. And I was very tempted to shield it, but I didn't. And then they come in with a Lickitung, and they're just going to farm me down. So this feels really bad. Probably should have gone for 2 Surfs here, knowing that I could have got to a second one, I think. But I wanted to go for the guaranteed damage just in case I wasn't getting to it. And in hindsight, yeah, I don't think I'm getting to it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Going for the Moonblast, and Guzzlord is a really good counter swap to Lickitung as well, because those Licks are resisted. Body Slam, you need like 3 of them to KO a Guzzlord. And the thing is that with Guzzlord, because of the way its stats are laid out, it thrives on resisted damage, right? If you can hit it in a situation where it's taking resisted damage from fast moves, its HP pool is going to eat that up all day. It's like got an HP pool like Snorlax. Like, it's got a ton of bulk in its health bar. Taking out that Deoxys with the crunch, opponent's got a Gligar in the back, and boy, are they going to be sad to see this Azumarill in the back. So, going to go for the Dragon Claw here for the chip damage. Opponent does not shield, smartly doesn't need to. Coming in with Azumarill, could probably bubble down if I wanted to with a shield. I'm expecting them to probably throw the dig first, so I'll shield up here because I figured this is the more likely scenario, and they throw the dig, which is a good shield by me. I don't know if I really needed to throw the Play Rough. Maybe bubbling down was the way, but figured I'd throw it anyway. Opponent kind of knew they were going to lose, so they let it go. So that's fine with me. We'll get into the next game here with Guzzlord on the lead versus an Azumarill. You could not ask for a worse lead other than Registeel. So I'm going to pivot into Tapu Fini. My opponent comes in with a Sandslash, and I'm like, wait a minute. There's a chance. In 2 shield scenarios, Tapu Fini and Water Gun do very well because those Surfs. If one Surf lands, as soon as that Surf landed here, I know, okay, if I have to, I can flip switch, and I think I do. I have to. But because this is a non-Shadow Alolan Sandslash, I know that I can comfortably tank this drill run. If it was a Shadow, okay, we're a little risky, but because it's a non-Shadow, they only get to 2 drill runs at this point. I can shield once, farm down, and flip switch. And because they come back in with the Azumarill, I can go for this Moonblast and do a ton of damage, and they're not going to be able to farm me down either. I'm getting a 2 Moonblast if they really try to go for a farm down here. So Moonblast is going to get their first shield, and I'm just going to keep building up to the next one, making them nervous and make them want to throw that energy, and they do. And here's one thing that I can impart without, saying you have to come for a coaching session, but this is part of the reason why. It's because I can only explain it so quickly. But when your opponent, when you come back in like that, don't panic and throw the resisted charge move. Just build up to the big move, right? If I had thrown that Surf, then the opponent absolutely would have just farmed down. Although they catch a player off on a glider, which is pretty nice. They would have just thrown, or I would have thrown the Surf there for the resisted damage because I knew I wasn't going to get to the Moonblast, right? That's one train of thought that a lot of my students come to me with, and I have to try to help them, get out of that habit. Right, so you want to be going for the buildup of energy into the big move because that's going to pressure the opponent to throw their energy, and they're going to have less energy when the when your Pokemon comes back in. They can't throw the energy at it, right? So Gligar's going to go down here, and my Guzzlord's going to come back in and just unleash crunches into the Azumarill. Yes, all of my damage is resisted, but their bubbles are resisted. So once again, another situation where they have to throw energy. And I'm only going for crunches because there's no point, right? Ice Beam is going to take out my my Guzzlord, but my Azumarill is even shields with the opponent. Has energy for getting. I'm going to get to 2 Play Roughs before they can get to 3. Like they need 3 Play Roughs to KO here, and they're not going to get to them because I'm going to be able to get to the next Play Rough in just a little bit here. And I want to note the IVs on these Pokemon. Obviously, they're not all ideal IVs, right? My Azumarill, I mean, it's got a huge defense stat, but it was like. It was when I was hunting for one that could beat Medicham pre-Psychic Nerf. Now they can pretty much beat Medicham regardless, but I was hunting for one specific, and that was the best that I came up with. Good game to my opponent, by the way. Tapu Fini, literally the first Tapu Fini after 43 plus trades. Yeah, 43. 43. Oh, this is a nightmare. All right. So for some reason, I'm thinking I can catch an Ice Punch. My opponent has so much energy, and they're just like, nah, I don't need to throw right now. I'm going to throw my Drill Run at your Tapu Fini and make you miserable. So then they come in with an Azumarill, and I'm like, all right, fine. I guess I can just play this out. I think Guzzlord is also, that was one of those, before we got the research Guzzlord, I was like, I'm just trying for trades, and I got lucky with one under 1500. So that's really where the IVs are for these Pokemon at. If you have like just a regular, like a 0-15-15 Azumarill, which I may very well invest in one if I ever find another one, I don't hate it. Like, it's fine. The IVs don't matter that much. This is just what I have. I shield up, feeling bad. No shields. Gonna go for this Moonblast here before my opponent gets to another charge move. Again, they do have to throw energy to take me out, so this is sort of advantageous because the Moonblast is going to hurt. Now what this is going to allow me to do, hopefully, though, is come in with Guzzlord and farm down if my opponent isn't going to get to a move. But they have Ice Beam, which means now I can't fully farm down because they're going to get to another Ice Beam long before I'm able to do so. So I swap here trying to catch an Ice Beam, and I fail miserably, and the opponent's able to get to a last-second play rough before the bubble takes them out. So all I'm really hoping to do here is land some crunches, or maybe get the Hydro Pump on this on the Sandslash. Maybe they're not going to expect it. So that's kind of my thinking at this point. I'm just playing this out. Opponent shields up the player up very smartly. They're going to get to a return here and take out my Azumarill, which is really unfortunate. It's very smart of them to bring in the Sableye here, knowing that they can. But I'm able to... See, my thought here was... let it go, don't throw the player off, and try and farm down with Guzzlord, get a couple crunches off on the Sandslash. That was my thought process during this battle. Clearly, that was incorrect, because the opponent has extra energy. I should have just thrown player off, perhaps. It's hard to say, because that Sandslash would have Ice Punched me to death anyway. So I don't think that I really had a win condition here. The Sandslash is just very strong, and I should have just pivoted out immediately. But we get a 4-1 in the first set, and that's going to be enough to clear the veteran rank. So very awesome here, climbing up. I've actually gotten myself up to about 2600. You're going to see the team that brought me there over tomorrow. And next time Great League returns, it's another one of those teams that I'm keeping in the Patreon server. Not because I want to be like a, ooh, come give me your money. Like it's that Patreon, like the people that do subscribe to it, there's quite a few wonderful people who do it, and that money goes to help my family, to be honest. Like I'm living separately from my family because I moved for work for an opportunity, and so I'm able to send some money back to them with all the money that I make off of this YouTube channel and off of Patreon. So when I'm asked, you know, when I'm trying to advertise that, I'm not doing it because of greed. I want to be completely clear about that. I am doing it because I'm trying to raise some money to help make my family, you know, get my kids, you know, to enjoy things a little bit more than, you know, I did when I was there, even though I had a pretty good life. But anyway, little personal notes aside, I guess I should get back to these battles anyway. Sorry, I get a little caught up there. I always worry that, like, whenever I say, oh yeah, come sub to my Patreon, like I get that feeling of like, oh great, he's paywalling for, because he's a greedy butthead. But that's not the case at all, and I hope nobody thinks that way of me. Anyway, so my opponent here, the reason why I shielded that Aerial Ace up is because they were playing as though they were weak to Guzzlord in the back. So I'm thinking, oh, I just shield my Guzzlord and I'll be fine. But no, kaboom! My opponent has a Registeel in the back. This is one of the few Registeels that I found. And had I shielded that, I'm pretty sure that I could have gotten to 2 Hydro Pumps here. Or at least like a Hydro Pump and a Play Rough. You know, I could have certainly gotten to what I needed to get to. My opponent doesn't shield this either, I don't think. They just let this go. Okay, no, they do shield it. All right, never mind. All I had to do was get to that next Play Rough, and I'm pretty sure I win this game. So had I not shielded the Guzzlord like a fool, I'd have been fine. Opponent goes for the... I'm trying to reach for it. Maybe I should have gone for it. I don't know if the Play Rough was enough. Someone can let me know in the comments if Play Rough was enough there. But, you know, we get some redemption in the next game. Lanturn in this matchup is staying in, which is fine with me. Because not only do I despise this fish, but it's not swapping out, which means they're also weak in the back. And immediately what I go to, at least until I saw this Lickitung, was maybe this is the Home Slice Henry Superior team. But as soon as I see the Lickitung, it's not a Medicham. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. So I'm going to try to catch the Body Slam. I get some extra energy here, do some extra fast move damage, because those Dragon Tails do add up pretty nicely here. And the Power Whip is going to hit my Tapu Fini like for a lot of damage, but I should be able to get to the Surf here before they can get to another move, and that's going to force them to either shield to keep their energy, or they're going to have to take the damage and go down. And they take the damage and keep the shield. Lanturn will get a farm down here, but if they're really weak in the back to Guzzlord, I'm not worried about it, honestly. So we'll see what happens when they come in. Maybe Lickitung was the thing that was weak to Guzzlord in the back. Maybe that's why, because like we were saying earlier, those resisted licks don't really do much to Guzzlord. So my opponent comes in now with a Gligar, and I'm fine with this too. Now, I certainly, if I was the opponent, I still would have come in with the Lickitung a lot sooner, because at least at that point, right, you don't have to worry about getting your entire Lanturn wasted. Because if they had played this a little bit smartly, no disrespect to my opponent, I'm doing this from an analytical standpoint, not trying to make fun of the way they played this game or anything, but had they decided to swap out immediately, that would have brought out my Tapu Fini, and they could have gotten even more farm on the Lanturn. Now, I know that the Lanturn is kind of like completely dead into Guzzlord, but I do feel like they may have had a little bit more of a chance by not just staying in with the Lanturn, because at least Lickitung can hit with neutral on the Body Slams. My opponent makes a nice swap here anyway, trying to salvage a game, going for the Surf into my Azumarill, forcing me to use one of my shields here, but I just come with Guzzlord. And Guzzlord is going to get this farm down. I'm going to shield to protect it. I can just go for a charge move here. I've got a lot of energy that I can just throw into this Gligar here. And they are going to go for the wing attack. Gligar, I do think, is too bulky even as a shadow. This won't KO, but we're close. And that Dragon Claw, or the Dragon Tail damage, is going to be enough to KO the Gligar, and that's going to be a good game. Well played. Into the next game, we got a really nice lead. This is why Guzzlord was just slaying so hard, was all the grass, all the... I remember this game. Oh, I remember this game, and I was thinking, what is this person? This is why, this is not why, this is why I offer team building courses on Metafy, because teams like this, all right, you see the Sableye, okay? You see the Sableye, and then you see Mandibuzz. Any sane person would think that this trainer, and again, no disrespect to this trainer, I know they had a reason to play this team. They must love these Pokemon or something, but this screams to me, let me help you. Like, I'm not going to do it again because I've spent half the video talking about it. But team building is an important thing to be able to do here in this game, trainers. And being able to build a team that is able to handle something in the lead and cover the weaknesses of that lead is important. Opponent comes straight back in with the Sableye, and I'm like, okay, what on earth could they have in the back? Because at this point, they're already double weak to Charm, so I come back in with my Guzzlord. I'm going to try to neutralize the Sableye, because, again, I have no idea what they have in the back, so we're just going to come with Guzzlord here, go for the charge moves that we can. If they get up to the return, which I do believe they did, I'm going to shield it up, I think, here, because I don't want to take the return. I mean, they're already dual weak to Guzzlord. Why not let Guzzlord go crazy? It's a Guzzlord feature, for goodness sake. And the opponent is going to come in with a Charizard. I don't know, in my heart of hearts, how a trainer could build so ferociously weak to Azumarill. But trainers of all ages, all of you who watch this, please don't build this weak to Azumarill. This is the kind of team where I expect the person to be blaming the algorithm for seeing a team like mine, where in reality, yes, they were hard countered, but all they had to do was meet a single Azumarill and their whole team was hard countered. So, good game to my opponent. I know they tried their best in a really difficult situation, but we got to be more mindful of the teams. I mean, maybe there was a reason. But anyway, oh, mind you, I'm in the veteran ELO rank, right? This is not like... These trainers know what they're doing, I assume. Because veteran is, like, near leaderboards by now. Trainers, please don't save swap your Bastiodons. There is literally no good reason ever in the history of this game, for any reason ever that has ever existed, will exist, anything. Don't save swap Bastiodon. You're just inviting yourself to be farmed down by a fighter, and then you just lose because you don't have the ability to absorb energy from most fighters. Now, I'm giving up both my shields because my opponent gave a shield up. Perhaps they made a wrong swap. Very possible. Happens. Learning a team, right? But they come back in with Trevenant. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm good here. My Guzzlord destroys the pants off of this Trevenant. I'm going to hit him with a Moonblast, and they don't shield it, which is huge for me. Even if they get this farm down, that's fine, because the Trevenant's basically gone. And there's the Medicham. Now, from what I understand, when you have a Medicham in the back, that's typically the safe swap. Now, this trainer was hard countered regardless. There's no win condition for them here. The thing that I'm harping on is don't safe swap Bastiodon. It's bad. It's like safe swapping in Alolan Sandslash. You don't do it, because if something's got a double weakness to a certain typing, unless you have a very specific reason for doing it, you're just inviting yourself to get hard countered, farmed down, and then the energy that comes out the other end is probably going to make you lose the game. So I don't like seeing trainers make these sorts of moves, because it's the kind of stuff that loses games, and you know, we could be doing so much better. Opponent swaps into the Trevenant to try and get rid of the Azumarill. I think they're just making a last-ditch effort. Nothing that they can throw at my Guzzlord, even an Ice Punch, a Dynamic Punch. I don't even know if that would KO, but I go straight for the Dragon Claw here, not giving them a chance to go for any fast move damage or anything at all, and that's going to be a good game well played to my opponent. Getting up into the, I believe this is probably the next game. I don't know if this is the last game, but it's definitely the next game. We got another Deoxys, and this is where I decide to start by swapping out immediately, and this is a familiar team. I almost wonder if I'm on the other side of that battlefield. Deoxys? A Golden Lickitung? Hello, trainer after my own heart. How are you? I hope you're doing wonderful. I would like to get a farm down. So when I see a Deoxys lead, my first priority here is lose swapped so I can farm on my Guzzlord. I would like to be able to come back into that Deoxys matchup and throw a crunch, because that's going to soften it up considerably and make it so that even a Azumarill with a Play Rough can take it out. Now, I get an extra Dragon Tail in here because of the 1 HP and a Dream Scenario. Now my opponent coming back in with Deoxys, getting some counters off. They should now be at just over the Psycho Boost, because I do believe that was 4. They shield the crunch. Their defense goes down. They're not swapping out right away. This is probably going to be a Thunderbolt, so I'm gonna shield it up so I don't take all that damage. And then the opponent stays in, and I'm thinking that they may be weak in the back to my Azumarill. And that makes sense, right? Unless the trainer's trying to get both my shields with the Thunderbolts first, but they have to shield in order to get to that Thunderbolt, or they're going to take a lot of damage on their Deoxys. So I'm going to shield back. My opponent wants to give up both shields. That's fine with me. I've got some energy. Whatever they have in the back, hopefully I can handle it. Going to go for some decent timing here. I almost went for the Hydro Pump, but I saw that swap, and I'm like, nope, never mind. I'm not going to go for the Hydro Pump now. So we're going to go for Play Roughs here, and this is a really awkward situation, because even though my Azumarill has some energy from the previous matchup, Guzzlord does not want to see this Dugong. I have no shields left, and I'm going to have to swap at some point. Excuse me, because I assume that they're probably going to throw Icy Winds at me and force me to lose my attack stat. But thankfully, they're going to go for the damage and the Drill Run here. Now I'm going to have to see what they go for, though, because this is going to be dangerous. But I think they just threw all their energy, so I'm going to make a play here that is risky. But I'm going to come in with Guzzlord because I know that they're on their 5 cycle, right? Dugong is 5-4, 5-4 to its moves. So I'm going to come in with my Guzzlord, farm down, because I was pretty sure I could get there within 5 Dragon Claws or Dragon Tails. I always mix the two up. And then I get that farm down, and I can hit the Deoxys with a crunch and take this final game here. It was the last game. And that's going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. 2 4-1s back-to-back to scream right over the veteran rank into the mid-2500s, making some gains with this team. It's a really fun team. As long as you don't see a whole lot of... Fighter leads aren't the worst. It's really like Registeel and Fairy. I think that, like, you see a Fairy lead and then you get countered by a grass type, like Fairy, double grass, like stuff like that. Like double grass lines are the worst, honestly. But anyway, team was a lot of fun to run. I've already done my shilling for myself, so I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank y'all so much. Bye-bye.